class. Okay, so here we go. Class, good afternoon. So last time we learned about the Umbra and Penumbra, right? About shadows. So for this afternoon, we're going to continue discussing about sizes of shadows. Okay, so let's have a little recap or review. So last time we learned about shadows and we said that shadows are dark areas behind objects. They form when opaque objects block light fully or partly. So as you can see, class, on the picture, look at the children. Okay? The children are blocking the light rays or the light rays of the sun. And as you can see, the shadows are seen on the ground. The shadows are cast on the ground. Why is that? Because the children are considered opaque objects and they are blocking the light fully. Okay, that is why there is a shadow. Okay, next, we also learn about the two kinds of shadows, which are the umbra and penumbra. And we learned that umbra is the darker shadow and penumbra is a lighter shadow. Now, we also made use of this illustration as we learn about the umbra and penumbra. Okay, we made use of the light source or the flashlight or the torch, the object or which is the ball and the screen. Okay? Now, when we turn on the flashlight or the torch, we can now see the umbra and penumbra. Can you tell me again what is this? So we said that the darker shadow is the umbra and the lighter shadow is the penumbra. Now class, okay, the sizes of umbra and penumbra change when the object is moved closer to the light source or closer to the screen. For example, okay, for example, class, can you read this for us, Ami? When the object is moved, ready, go.
When the object is moved closer to the light source, the
The
umbra
umbra
is
is
umbra
smaller,
is
smaller,
smaller,
while
while
penumbra is
the umbra is
bigger.
bigger.
Okay, let me repeat. When the object is moved closer to the light source, the umbra is smaller while the penumbra is bigger. So let's look at this illustration. So look at the object. The object is closer to the light source, which is the torch. Now look at the screen. So you can see that the umbra is smaller and the penumbra is bigger. That is if the object is closer to the light source. I repeat, if the object is closer to the light source, the umbra is smaller, the penumbra is bigger. Next, I want Guy. Guy, please read the next one for us.
when the light source and object are the
This
same
one,
size.
Guy. Guy, this one. When the object
When the object is moved closer to the screen, the umbra is bigger while the penumbra is smaller.
Okay, very good. Now I repeat, when the object is moved closer to the screen, the umbra is bigger while the penumbra is smaller. It's vice versa. Okay, so as you can see here in the illustration, the ball or the object is closer to the screen, which makes the umbra bigger and which makes the penumbra smaller in size. Okay, I repeat, if the object is closer to the light screen, the umbra is bigger, the penumbra is smaller. And for the last one, when the light source and the object are the same size, the umbra will be as big as the object. Okay, I repeat. When the light source and the object are the same size, if they have the same size, the umbra will be as big as the object. Okay, did you get that? Let's repeat. Class, when the object is moved closer to the light source, will the umbra be bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Smaller. Class, when the object is moved closer to the screen, will the umbra be smaller or bigger?
Bigger.
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 That's very easy. Now we learn that light moves from a light source in straight lines in all directions. We can use this knowledge to draw ray diagrams showing umbra and penumbra as follows. So again, okay, for a minute. So again, number one, a tiny light source. When we have a tiny light source, okay, when the light hits the opaque object, only the umbra is formed on screen, even if the screen is very far from the object. Class, look at this illustration. I want you to look at this illustration. Look at the light source. Is it small or big?
Small.
Is the light source. Okay, look at
Small.
the light source. The light source is very tiny. It is smaller than the object. If that is the case, class, if that is the case, look at the screen. How many shadows can you see?
One.
Only one.
Umbra.
Only the umbra, right? So if that's the case, if the light source is very tiny or smaller than the object, only the umbra will form on the screen. There is no penumbra. Okay? Number two, a light source the same size as the object. What if the light source and the object have the same size? Look at the screen. How many shadows can you see?
Two.
There are two shadows. Now, for number two, you can see now the umbra and penumbra. That is, if the light source and the object are, they have the same size. When the light hits the opaque object, the umbra and penumbra form on the screen. The penumbra forms around the umbra even if the screen is very far from the object. Number three. Number three, a light source bigger than the object. Okay, from number three, class, what if the light source is bigger than the object? When the light hits the opaque object, both umbra and penumbra are formed on screen. From where the screen is, the umbra and penumbra can change as follows. So we have three scenarios here. We have three screens. Okay, so below these screens, these are the shadows. Again, we have in each screen we can see two shadows, both the umbra and penumbra. Okay, look at screen A. How many shadows can you see?
Two.
Two, we can see. Okay, what about screen 2? What about screen B? How many shadows?
Two.
2. But
Two.
on screen B, class, the umbra is very tiny while the penumbra is very large, as well as screen B. Okay, that depends on how far the screen is to the object and the light source. Okay, so we have three scenarios. Now, shadows are used in many ways. For example, okay, they are not just shadows, they have use for our life as human being. For example, can you read that for me? Nanapat, can you read that for me? In planting, ready, go.
In planting trees
To
to
shade
shade from
from
sunlight.
sunlight. Okay. First use is in planting trees to shade from sunlight. Okay, isn't it that when we plant more trees, big trees, we make use of them as shade from the sunlight, right? That is the use of shadows. Number two, can you read it for me, Polawat, please? To protect. Okay, let's have ang Suchawan. Ang Suchawan, please read to protect.
To protect from direct
Direct sunlight.
sunlight when We are
outdoors. Okay, for example, when we are at the beach, okay, to protect from direct sunlight when we are outside, for example, using umbrella. Okay, next, thank you. Bunisa, next, can you read the next one for me? Bunisa?
นิสาคะอ่านให้ฟังหน่อยค่ะ
Could you please open your
คุณครูคะหนูเห็นเป็นภาพแบบ
Could you please open your video?
หนูเห็นมันเป็นภาพแบบ
ไม่เห็นตัวอักษรเหรอคะ
หนูไม่รู้เรื่องอะค่ะ คือมัน
Okay.
เป็นแบบ อ๋อได้แล้วค่ะ ได้แล้วค่ะ
โอเคอ่านเลยค่ะลูกอ่านเลย
For
อ่านตรงไหนเหรอคะ
for entertainment เนี่ยค่ะ
for entertainment. Go. Okay, so number 3, for entertainment. For example, the Thai shadow puppets. Do you know what this is? This is a Thai shadow puppets, Nang Tolong and Nang Yai. Am I right, teacher? Nang Tolong and Nang Yai.
yes หนังตะ
Yes.
ลุง
Yeah, Nang
Nang
Talong
Yai.
and Nang Yai. Okay, this is for entertainment. See? There are many uses. And number 4, we also have rain. Can you read it for me, Rain? Number 4.
Using tiles to roof houses.
Okay. Fourth use is using tiles to roof houses. Using opaque objects like tiles or zinc to roof houses. Okay, see? And not just that, we also have to explain natural phenomena. Okay? Like the solar eclipse or lunar eclipse. Do you know the difference between solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, class? Okay, when we say solar eclipse, class, the solar eclipse occur when the moon, okay, look at this, when the moon passes between the earth and the sun, okay, leaving a moving region of shadow on earth's surface. This is the shadow of the moon to the earth, okay, that is solar eclipse. While lunar eclipse, class, okay, as you can see here, lunar eclipse occur when the earth passes between the sun, this is the sun, and the moon, casting a shadow on the moon. Okay, so as you can see, this is the shadow of the earth to the moon. Okay, that's the difference between solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. They occur every year, maybe twice a year. Okay? Next, another use is this one. Do you know what this is? Telling time from sundials. Do you know what this is? Okay, science fact class. This is called sundials. Everybody say sundials.
Sundial.
Okay, let me read what is sundials for you. Sundials are the earliest type of timekeeping device which indicates the time of day by position of the shadow of some object exposed to the sun's rays. So before, by the way, the oldest known sundial class was made in Egypt in the 1500 BC. Okay, before the clock was invented. When there is no clock, they make use of sundials. Okay, there is no clock before, they made use of sundials. How do they use this one? They make use of the shadow. Okay, so this sundials is pointing on 3. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. already. Oh, yes, it's 3 p.m. already. Okay, now science fact again. Opaque object. Everybody, I want everybody to read, please. Opaque objects. Ready, go.
Opaque object
Object
Can make both Umbra and Penumbra.
And penumbra. Okay, next. Transparent, ready, go.
Transparent
Transparent
And
and
translucent
translucent
object
object
can only
can
make
only
a
make
number
a
if
number.
for some
This
light
is
that
sunlight
move
and
and slow and
crystal
show up on
up around the green.
Okay, now, opaque objects can make both umbra and penumbra. Transparent and translucent objects can only make a penumbra. This is because some light can pass through them and show up on screen. Again, class, when we say opaque objects, this does not allow light to pass through. Example of opaque object is book. Okay, I'm gonna show you, class. Okay, I will make use of my phone as a flashlight. Class, everybody look. I'll make use of my phone as a flashlight. If I put the flashlight behind this book, can you see the light? Can you see the
no.
light? No. No, right? That is why this book is example of opaque object. What about my hand? My hand, my palm, my hand. If I put the light behind my hand, can you see the light? Can the light pass through? Yes or no?
No.
No, that is why my hand is opaque. Okay? Next, transparent. Transparent. Class, when we say transparent, it allows light to pass through easily. For example, is this glass. Can you see this one? Yes or no? Can you see this one? Yes or no? I am holding a glass.
Yes.
Now, I'm gonna put the flashlight behind the glass. Can you still see the light? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. That is because this glass is transparent. It allows light to pass through easily. Another example of transparent glass is water. Another example is air. Okay, now what about translucent? Class, what about translucent? This tissue is example of translucent. It allows, okay, when we say translucent, it allows some, okay, only some light to pass through. When we say some, not all, not totally, but partially, only some. Okay, so if I put the light behind the tissue, can you see the light?
Yes.
Yes, you can still see the light, but not totally. Only some of the light can pass through. That is the difference between transparent and translucent. Did you understand? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you want me to
Yes.
repeat? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, so if you really understood that, so let's have an activity. Okay, that's opaque, transparent, and translucent. Okay, for your activity, please open your book to page 124. 124, please. 124. 124. Okay. If you're ready, say I am ready.
I am ready.
Okay, let's start. From the experiment set up below, draw the umbra and penumbra on the screen. Number 1, object moved closer to the light source. Okay, when you move the object closer to the light source, what will be the shadow? Is it a bigger umbra or is it a smaller umbra? Okay, draw the shadow. And for number 2, object move far away from light source. Will the umbra and penumbra be bigger or smaller? Okay, draw your shadow now. Okay, number 1, what will be your answer? Is the umbra bigger or smaller?
นักเรียนลองตอบนะคะ ถ้าวัตถุใกล้กับแหล่งเกิดกำเนิดแสงนะคะ ถ้ามันใกล้กันเนี่ย ระหว่างไฟฉายกับลูกบอลอุมบราจะเป็นยังไงคะ
I want you to use pencil, please. Pencil to draw. Okay, for number 1, the umbra will be smaller and the penumbra will be bigger. How do you draw that? Okay, I'll count 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Finished? For number 2, object moved away from light source will be this. For number 2, the umbra will be bigger than the penumbra, okay? Tell me if you're finished. Finished? 1 and 2? Okay, finished? I'll count 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, for number 2, read and draw a ray diagram showing the umbra and penumbra on the screen. Number 1, the light source is the same size as the opaque object blocking its light. Number 2, the object is midway between the light source and the screen. So how do you draw that? You can see that on page 122. Look at page 122. Page 122. Case 2. This one. You can see that here, page 122, case 2. So you draw this one. Okay? You draw a light source and the object with the same size. Okay? Start now. Okay, let me show it for you. You draw a light source and object with the same size, and the object is in between the light source, or the object is midway between the light source and the screen. And on the screen, you draw two shadows, the umbra and penumbra. I'll count 1 to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Finished?
No,
Yes.
teacher.
Okay, let's wait for the others to finish. Okay, another 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, let's move on. Okay, for a minute, please. Okay, let's move on. Okay, number 3, answer the following questions. Number 1. Okay, number 1, what controls the sizes of Umbra and Penumbra? Okay, what controls the sizes of the Umbra and Penumbra? When we move closer and farther from the screen and the light source, right? How do you say that in the sentence? How do you say that in a sentence? What controls the sizes of Umbra and Penumbra? The distances. Am I right? The distances. Okay, because when we move closer to the light source, it will become bigger or smaller. When we move away from the light source, it will be smaller or bigger. So, the distances between the light source and the object and the screen. Sorry. The distances between the light source and the object and the screen. Let me edit it for you. And the object period. The distances between the light source and the object and the screen. Okay. Finished?
เขียนเสร็จแล้วบอกทิเชอร์ด้วยนะคะ จากโจทย์ข้อที่1เขาถามว่าอะไรที่เป็นตัวควบคุมขนาดของเงาอุมบ้าแล้วก็เพนอุมบ้านะคะนั่นก็คือ distance ระยะทางนะคะระหว่างตัวกำเนิดแสงวัตถุแล้วก็จอภาพนะคะ
Finish, teacher.
Okay. Number 2. Can a transparent object form a shadow? Yes or no? Okay, remember the transparent, the glass. Can it form a shadow? Yes or no?
ตอบสิคะ
Can the transparent form a shadow? You can see that on page 100. Okay, wait. You can see that on page 122. The science fact. The bottom part. Transparent and translucent object can only make... Okay. Can a transparent object form a shadow? Yes or no? Can it form umbra and penumbra? It can form, but...
Only penumbra.
Only penumbra. Very good. Yes, it can, but only penumbra will form because light can pass through a transparent object and show up on screen. And for number 3, how can we use the knowledge of shadows in everyday life? Number 3, how can we use the knowledge of shadows in everyday life? What are the uses of shadows in our human life? I have mentioned it earlier. You can also see that on page 123. Shadows are used in many ways. For example,
To protect direct sunlight when we are outdoors.
very good. To protect ourselves from direct sunlight. Okay, in planting trees. Very good. In tree planting for shade, shadow puppet shows, and explaining sky phenomena like solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. You can also add your answer. Okay?
นักเรียนคะ Solar Eclipse นะคะก็คือการเกิดสุริยุปราคานะคะแต่ถ้า Lunar Eclipse ก็คือการเกิดจันทรุปราคาเราน่าจะเคยเห็นกันเนาะปรากฏการณ์ธรรมชาติสุริยุปราคานะคะ
Solar eclipse, when the moon passes between the earth and the sun. Lunar eclipse, when the earth passes through between the sun and the moon. That's lunar. Okay? Finished? Please tell me if you're finished so that I can explain your homework.
Thank you, teacher ด้วยค่ะ Teacher 1 minute
Okay, 1 minute.
เดี๋ยวมันจะตัดนะคะ
Finish.
Okay, very good.
Teacher, do I have to come in again?
No, teacher. I will explain the homework right after this one.
Okay. ถ้ามันตัด